Okay, if you want evidence of illusory truth effect, this is your guy. Just watch him in debate. But we're going to take a look at this first, because this is the video he's responding to. Right, so let's take a listen.
If a girl wants a guy who's older, it's a preference. If a guy wants a girl who's younger, it's creepy and immature. If a girl doesn't want to date a short guy, it's a preference. If a guy doesn't want to date a girl that's overweight, he's an asshole who's not focused on the things that matter. If a girl wants a guy who can take charge, it's a preference. If a guy wants a girl who will submit to his lead, he's, you guessed it, misogynistic. If a girl sets a boundary, it's empowering. If a guy sets a boundary, it's controlling. Women have preferences, men have something wrong with them. This isn't a double standard, it's just illogical. So why does anyone accept this? This shit's still
Okay, so he's asked a question, right? The submit to his lead thing, questionable. But he's asked a question. Everything else he says, pretty much all of us fellas have experienced it in one way, shape or form. Now, let's take a look at the response.
This shit still boggles my mind.
Every single thing he brings up in this video is not actually a double standard. Both in...
Right. He's already buggered up. He's already buggered up. Straight away. Everything he says in the video is not actually a double standard. Right. Okay.
That he's comparing two entirely different things. And also, the comparison that he's making isn't even real as...
Right. So his instant retort is, they aren't double standards. They aren't real as far as I can tell. Okay. Everything will become clear as we go along.
Far as I can tell. So let's break this down.
If a girl wants a guy who's older, it's a preference. If a guy wants a girl who's younger, it's creepy and immature.
So what are some reasons that some women would like to date older men? Well, as I see it,
here's the excuse.
There are a few that should be fairly intuitive. Older men tend to be more mature, they can offer more stability, they're more likely to be willing to settle down and go into a serious relationship. Now,
let's hope the fellas get the same level of excuse. Or will he give a really soft example and then give an extreme example? I've watched the video, I already know the answer. Now, bearing in mind, he's just said that they're going for an older man because they're more mature, more stable. So I'm hoping if a more mature, stable man would go for a younger girl, that should be okay then, by his logic. But wait for it. Let's wait for the extreme.
Now, let's think about the opposite. What are some reasons why some men would exclusively want to date younger women? Guess what? They're different reasons. And this isn't even a real double standard.
He keeps telling himself that. And this isn't even a real double standard. He's trying to convince himself.
Beyond that, if you are 30 years old and you go out with a woman who's 26, literally nobody will bat an eye.
Absolutely right. If you're 40 and you're dating a 25-year-old woman, it should be okay as well because the brain is fully developed. But no. There is no in-between with this guy. He goes straight for the extreme. What does he choose?
People think it's weird when men in their 30s go out with girls still in college.
Teenagers. I don't know where out of his arse he's pulled that from, but he's used a straw man argument to dismiss the claim of double standards by using teenagers. No in between.
They're matching with 19-year-olds on Tinder. It's like, dude, why is your age range that low?
Who said? Who said? At what point did anybody say? There's people out there that's going to be like that. Absolutely. But did the guy that you responded to mention any of that? No, you're just pulling it out of your backside.
Oh, but why is her age range that high? Dude, she's 19. She's lived 60% of the life that he has. And yes, if I knew women in their 30s that were actively seeking out men that were 19, 20, 21 years old,
as you should,
that would be weird.
A girl doesn't want to date a short guy. It's a preference. If a guy doesn't want to date a girl that's overweight, he's an asshole.
All right, so let's explain exactly why preferences on weight and height are not the same thing.
They are not the same thing. You have way more control over one than you do the other. Both height and weight both get shamed. But
when a woman says that they prefer to date somebody that's taller than them, that is genuinely a preference.
yes, sociobiology has an impact with that as well. He just doesn't understand what instincts are.
What does that mean? That they would prefer that their boyfriend be taller than them.
Okay, so what if a fella says that he would prefer his girlfriend to be skinnier than them? Loads of fellas have said that and got their bumhole torn a new one. But he just goes with the extreme once again. There was this dude, what's his name? Matt Rife. He's a comedian, right? So every time he's being interviewed, he's going to make jokes. But he was asked what his preferences were. And all the women that didn't suit his preference, they lost their shit with him. But a woman can come on the internet and say, my ideal guy is this. And then everyone's like, yeah, I know what you like. I'm into that too. It's double standards. And this guy is just trying to make it sound like they don't exist. And the reasons, I don't know. He's reaching so far up his nether regions that...
That's pretty much it. And why? Generally speaking, it seems like the reason stems from that they like to hug upwards. They like...
Okay, what about men who like to hug and touch their hands? Or embrace? What the fuck is this guy talking about?
To reach up when they hug somebody. It's pretty inconsequential things. I don't know that. Well, I guarantee 90% of the women that say they need someone over 6 feet tall would date this man.
You know, the rich and famous Bruno Mars.
Who is 5'5". Or this man. There are a million men that are under 6 feet tall.
Daniel Radcliffe, Mark Wahlberg. Again, rich and famous. Because celebrity, fame, and financial status would never influence a woman to want to date them, would it? They're not impacting factors. No. Again, not all women, which is the point of the video, but he outs himself later on. It's just insane.
Tall, that plenty of women who say they would only date someone under 6 feet tall would actually date. Why? Because it's a preference. That's really it. I was going to use him as an example also, but I don't know if he's actually attractive. Ladies, help me out. Now, I've known muscular men who have said things that they would prefer to have a small and dainty girlfriend that they can throw over their shoulders. That is a preference that, by and large, people don't really have any issue with. But that's a different statement than saying, I don't date fat girls.
So, what about I don't date short guys? He's missed the double standard. Left, right, and centre. Hang on, right. I don't date short guys. TikTok, shall we? Sorry, I'm not into short guy. Cute TikTok compilation. I don't date short guys. Women don't date short guys. Short guys. Imagine a trend or loads of videos there saying, I don't date fat women. Hello? Have you missed the entire double standard conversation? No, because you've come up with bullshit and you're running with it. You're so made out of straw that you could audition for the next Wizard of Oz film. Seriously.
When you say that, what you are saying is that you think fat people are disgusting.
He's good at putting words in people's mouths. So if you say that you wouldn't want to date a fat person, it's because you're saying that fat people are disgusting. But if a woman says that she won't date short guys, it's just a preference. He's talking shit.
That's not a preference. That's just you addressing an entire segment of the population and going, hey, I want to let you know that I think you are undateable, even though you didn't ask me. And yet,
how he doesn't see the double standard that's staring him in the face is just unbelievable.
If I knew women that went up to overweight men and said, sorry, I don't date fat guys, that would also be a dickish thing to do.
Yes, so why are you ignoring the short population? Oh, it doesn't go with a narrative. It doesn't help his point.
If a girl wants a guy who can take charge, it's a preference. If a guy wants a girl who will submit to his lead...
What planet are we on? Do we think that asking someone to take charge and making someone submit to your lead are the same thing?
You know relationship dynamics, right? Okay. Let's explain something. There are different relationship dynamics between pretty much everyone on the planet. A lot of women want men to take the lead. So, if they want men to take the lead, who's going to do it if all the men don't want to take the lead? Isn't that just a preference? See, I'm not a fan of this, like, you know, take the lead thing, but his logic is, well, there is none.
Are we speaking English here?
If a girl
No, you're
sets a
not.
boundary, it's empowering. If a guy sets a boundary, it's controlling.
Who are you dating? Because men can set boundaries.
They can.
This is never a thing I've ever experienced.
Personal anecdote. I've not seen it, therefore it's never happened.
Unless, I don't know exactly what you mean by boundary. Do you
Here we go to the extreme again.
mean telling women that they're not allowed to go out with their friends? Because sure, that would be controlling, but it's a bit of a stretch to call that a quote-unquote boundary.
You're right, it would be extremely controlling, but it would also be a bit of a stretch to assume that's what he's on about. Oh my god, if he only had a brain. Dun, 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 dun,
I'm pretty sure men are allowed to set boundaries. I was not even aware that this is a double standard that genuinely existed. Hope this helps anybody who
doesn't
sometimes
know.
struggles to articulate why these things are not exactly double standards. Now, I know I have a lot of men that follow me, so I am fully prepared for the entirety of this comic session to just be filled with, oh my god, Yuval's first L, but this is the truth.
It hits his own truth. He hasn't seen it, therefore it hasn't happened. It's his own truth. But the thing is with the internet, if you phrase things in a certain way, like he has, like he's got this guy's video, he's presented a lot of information which wasn't, you know, it's all made up, basically. He strawmanned his way through it, made it all up, and gone, yeah, I'm right. Look at me, I'm right. He's just made up a load of nonsense. Right. Where's my internet gone? There it is. He's just made
This shit
everything
still
up
boggles my mind.
Every single
and gone, yeah, you're just going to say, you know, it's an L. It is, because your debating skills are terrible. He's meant to be a linguist. You should stick to it, because his debating skills are terrible. Now, I made a response video to this one, kind of explaining double standards to him. He did not like it. Did not like it one bit. Right? Where do we find the other video of him losing his mind? This might take a minute because it did blink out.
What are some reasons why some men...
280, right? This is brilliant. 286,000.
What are some reasons why...
How many likes? Loads of likes. Loads of comments in there. I don't know why they're not loading up, but there's loads of comments in there going, oh yeah, you're so right. But he's just done exactly the same thing. Throwing words in my mouth. Strawmanned his whole argument and ran with it. So, in terms of a rebuttal video to what he's saying, I didn't really have any because I'd be arguing with someone over stuff that they're, I don't know, challenging me on that I didn't even say. It makes no sense. But here we go anyway. Let's look at this.
Why some men would exclusively want to date younger women.
And here's where he fucks up. Yep.
Okay, I am excited to see the error in my ways.
No, you're not. I'm skipping the first 2 minutes of his video because I genuinely can't understand how anything he said there was a counter to any of my arguments. If I'm missing something, please tell me, but it felt really rambling and unclear. He's edited my video to miss out a shitload of points. A shitload. He's removed context. Then he got all his followers to report me video, which is fucking spineless. I think it's so cowardly. You should never report videos. You should allow things to stay up and just let people watch what's going on. But so now my video's gone. It is on YouTube. It's on before this one. And so like he's just fed everyone a load of bullshit once again. So here I am to kind of do it. Everything he's done is massively out of context.
A 40-year-old man is chasing a 25-year-old girl.
Mm-hmm.
That would be classed as iffy.
It's a bit iffy.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
But if a 25-year-old girl was chasing a 40-year-old man, that would be okay.
Sugar daddy, right?
That's the double standard.
No, it isn't. This is actually the exact same scenario that I described with a...
No, he didn't. Right. Let's stop you there, Sonny Jim. The scenario that he described was a, 35-year-old man with a 19-year-old girl. Now, the reason why I said 25 years old, specifically, and I done it on purpose, because I knew it'd bite to it, the brain is considered fully developed at 25. He's picked a teenager. He's gone with the extreme to validate the nonsensical point that he's trying to throw out there. So it's not the same. It's two different things. Mine is in the middle, right? So he's gone with the extreme. Mine's more central.
19-year-old girl wanting to date a 35-year-old man, and a 35-year-old man wanting to date a 19-year-old.
Yeah, it's iffy.
Not that it's acceptable in both directions. It's that I'm not putting blame on the 19-year-old because they're 19. And same with the 25-year-old woman to a 40-year-old man. I'm not putting blame on the 25-year-old woman because she is 25. So there is no...
She's a fully grown adult. She can do what she wants. Do you see what he's missed? She's 25 years old. She can do whatever she wants. Now, if I was to say that there are 25-year-old men that's dating 40-year-old women, which there are many, with celebrities, your Sandra Bullocks, your Mariah Careys, your Demi Moores, there's loads of them. We'll get to that in a minute. But there is no double standard here, apparently. He's cementing what he believes. He's not actually countering anything. He's just speaking a lot without actually saying a word.
Double standard here. Just like there isn't a double standard here if I say, hey, you shouldn't murder somebody, but I don't get mad at somebody who was murdered.
If a fool...
Talking about pulling things out of your ass to the extreme, which makes no fucking sense, he's done it once again. How was that a He should stick with the linguistics, because he can't debate for shit.
40-year-old lady was chasing a 25-year-old man.
25-year-old.
Should be classed as a cougar.
Cougar, yes.
And be praised for it.
Is that true? I don't know if I've ever heard the word cougar being used in, like, a serious context.
In my entire life. Personal anecdote. I've not seen it, therefore it's not true. I've never seen a kangaroo, but I'm pretty sure it fucking exists. This dude, man, I think his ego, he's just in his own little world.
In my entire life. But I suppose this might be out of my realm, so
yes.
I'm going to ask if there are any 40-year-old ladies watching this video right now. If one of your friends started dating a 25-year-old man, would you view that neutrally? Because personally, I would also think that was weird.
Yes. However, they call it celebrity gossip. That's what it is. Like I said, Mariah Carey, Sandra Bullock, Demi Moore, there was loads of others. I had a list of them earlier, but no one bats an eyelid when a woman does it. Everybody know Leonardo DiCaprio. I don't know how old his girlfriends are, but every time he's got a new girlfriend, everyone's talking about it.
Why are women that's 5'1" wanting men over?
Oh, I like this
6
bit.
feet?
This bit's fun.
Can we meet a real woman?
You really should. You need to get out more.
Like an actual, in-the-flesh human being?
Do you know what they look like?
And not assume that these 5'1" girls in viral TikToks are somehow representative of all short women. Anytime.
Ha 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 ha. These women in TikToks are not representative of all women. He's right. However, what he's just done, he's acknowledged the double standards that I've talked about. He's just acknowledged the existence. The only problem is he can't understand that in a lot of, well, not a lot of scenarios. Well, a lot of men have experienced these scenarios in real life. He's missing it. Totally. Clueless.
Someone tells me that all girls who are 5'1" only want someone over 6 feet, I am...
Who said all girls 5'1" only want guys 6 feet? Now, this is where his brain can't seem to comprehend that a double standard doesn't mean that everyone perpetuates it. That's not how it works. Just to say that 5'1" girls want men that's over 6 feet doesn't mean all women that are 5'1" want men that are 6 feet. There's 8 different billion people on this planet, and they've all got their own set of preferences. The chances that two people's preferences being identical to each other are extremely unlikely. That's That's maths for you. But you've just taken one thing and run with it, going, all 5'1" girls. No one's saying all 5'1" girls. No one's saying all women. They're just specifically on about the people who push the double standards. But again, you're strawmanning out of your ass.
Immediately assume they have never met a woman in their entire life.
I don't think
So
you
why
have.
do so many of us men on dating apps
This gets
get asked the
worse.
question, how tall are you?
Look, I understand. I used to be on dating apps as well. And
Personal
I remember,
anecdote,
dating
there you
apps
go.
do not go well for men in general.
All
But
women,
again,
to be fair.
can we try meeting real people?
Yeah, there's no real people on dating apps. They're all bots. They're all pretend. So anyone that turns around and says to you that, you know, you're too short on a dating app, you can rest assured that that's not a real person that you're speaking to, because Yuval said so. Because he's never seen it. Fuck me.
Because if we're going to assume that people on dating apps are representative of the entire sex,
He's done it again. It just kind of... No one's saying the entire sex, you fucking idiot. Jesus. Oh my God. It's frustrating my brain and I am losing IQ points. Genuinely. The fact, so much straw, you could make an army of scarecrows and conquer the world, the amount of straw that's coming out of your ass at the moment.
then I hate to break it to you, men are about to look really bad. I guarantee 90% of the women that say they need someone over 6 feet tall would date this man who is 5'5".
He's basically tried to dismiss a situation by going, yes, but these
I was tired at that
rich,
point.
famous men don't have a problem.
It isn't just because they're celebrities, it's because they're attractive. It's why I didn't list Danny DeVito as one of these short celebrities that all...
Fuck me. Fuck. Oh, my days. Yeah. Do you know what, right? You're Mark Wahlberg. You're 5'8", right? And you walk down the road. Okay? And then you start hitting on women. Now, someone who is just as attractive as Mark Wahlberg, that's the same height, walking down the road and no one knows who they are, and they start hitting on women, who's going to have more success? You can't see his arguments are just full of shit.
all these women would still like to date. And if it is really just about celebrity status, then please show me the men that say they will not date fat women that are still fawning over Melissa McCarthy and Rosie O'Donnell. Because...
You just said you didn't list Danny DeVito because he was ugly, and then you go with Rosie O'Donnell. And Melissa McCarthy. A lot of people fancy her. You've just shamed Melissa McCarthy. Wow, misogyny. Hey, nice one. Oh my God. And by his own argument, preferences are what you would just prefer. So he's contradicted himself as well. He's just...
As far as I can tell, they do not exist.
Outstanding.
What you are saying is that you
They don't
think
exist. As far as I'm concerned, they don't exist. Fucking just... Hello! I live in my own little world here. This is hilarious. This is the most entertainment I've had in
people
ages.
are disgusting.
By your own logic, you are saying that women find short men disgusting.
Goddamn, you know, that's true. That by my own logic, that is what I would be saying. Which is why I said exactly that in a comment. Maybe.
Should we take a look? When saying I don't date short men also imply they look down on them in the same regard as I don't date fat women. Genuine question. Yeah, I think it's rude, but most actual... Right, okay, so it is rude, right? But most actual women I've met don't phrase it that definitively. I think the internet tends to highlight the extremes. Fucking self-awareness fail. That's incredible. That's impressive.
Fourth, yeah, I think it's rude. In response to the question, wouldn't saying I don't date short men also imply they look down on them? The difference is phrasing, because most of the time when I speak to real women, like in life, the way they phrase this is that they would like to have a boyfriend that's taller than them. And
so, like, yeah, it's same for real life with fellas. But no, again, he's going with the extreme. He's just gone on about the internet showing the extremes. And he's the guy he's talking about. He's talking about himself. It's fascinating.
And then a lot of men have a tendency to respond to that statement by saying, oh, what? But now I can't say that I don't like fat girls? And those two things are not the same statement.
You're right. They're not. But that's not what anyone has mentioned. This is something that this guy has inserted to validate his own points. That's what a straw man argument is. He's literally made shit up and ran with them. Do you know what? It'd be a psychologist's dream or nightmare, depending on what perception you have from it.
Men want smaller ladies because they're healthier to birth babies.
Just so we're clear, being skinny is not inherently more healthy for pregnancy. There are health risks for both underweight and overweight women.
Yes.
Like they both exist. Health risks for overweight and underweight pregnant women. Now, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to pretend like I know which one is more severe, but it's not immediately clear to me why we wouldn't also have this epidemic of, well, I don't date skinny women if this is about biological health concerns.
Who said skinny? Did I say skinny? How do I nip back without going too far? Oops. Did I say skinny? No, I just said smaller ladies. Are we seeing a pattern here? He's talking shit.
Health risks for overweight and underweight pregnant women. Now, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to pretend like I know which one is more severe, but it's not immediately clear to me why we wouldn't also have this epidemic of, well, I don't date skinny women if this is about biological health concerns.
Right, yeah. So, no, you're right. You can be too skinny and not have health concerns. You can have too big and have health concerns. There's something called sociobiology, which, you know, is put within human nature. People have preferences based on their kind of interests and instincts and things like that. Now, I don't know if anyone's ever heard the phrase that, you know, men tend to go for a little hourglass figure because hips, you know, shape of the hips, better for birthing babies. Just natural instincts, isn't it? But I never said skinny. Never said thin. I just said smaller. He's said other shit that I've not said and again made an argument from it. It's just, which he does all the time.
Because both of them have it.
There are millions of videos of women always talking about what they do and don't like, and it's fine.
Yep.
Again, can we please get off the internet?
Real women exist. It's like a gotcha moment. Yes, real women exist, but the shit that's being talked about actually happens. Honest to God, I swear he lives in a bubble. I swear he lives in a bubble. Doesn't realise what he's saying. He's acknowledging the double standards, but his excuse for doesn't happen in real life. Who are the people? Fucking wow.
Women who are technically obese, big and beautiful. Men who are obese, fat.
Body positive, body positive movement.
Women who are overweight are definitely called fat and disgusting more often than they're called big and beautiful. The whole big and beautiful is a recent shift to try to steer away from these insults. And you're right that there isn't the same focus on body positivity in public towards overweight men, but overweight men are treated very differently than overweight women.
So he's just confirmed that there's a whole body positivity movement towards overweight women, but there isn't towards men. But again, this is what he's going to do. He's going to use an absolute ridiculous example by using famous people. And what's even funnier about it is that he makes a point that he doesn't realise he's about to make, and it doesn't do him any favours.
At least from a public standpoint. Top 50 most famous fat actors of all time.
Celebrities,
let's see how many
again.
Ladies can pop up.
Talks about going on about the real world,
okay,
and everything he's trying to do is just celebrities.
Man, that's a man. 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 That's a man.
Yeah,
that's a man. That's a man.
When does it stop?
Well, okay.
Keeps going on. Keeps going on. Keeps going on. Oh yeah. Born. Oh, I've gone too far.
Body positive.
Have I gone too far? Okay, I'm breaking shit here.
Pathetical.
Over there aren't any women,
Hang on.
but we're seeing more of an emphasis toward
There's got to be an
any
easier
issue
way of
for
doing
overweight men to get famous, but there don't really seem to be this is something. And that list was not objective.
There we go. Right. Okay. So sorry about that. Yeah, he's just highlighted a double standard that affects women. Do you notice that? So larger men, technically within film industry and TV industry, get more roles than larger women. That's a double standard. Shall I tell him it doesn't exist? It's just right. Let's listen to the rest of the bullshit. That list was not objective at all, so why did you use it?
But also do not take it as such, but this is probably something that you already instinctively knew, which is that there seem to be a lot more fat male celebrities than there are fat female celebrities. This doesn't mean that men don't also deserve body positivity, but I would wager...
Men don't deserve body positivity. Sorry, fat fellas, you don't deserve any body positivity because there's more fat guys in TV and film than women.
The part of the reason you might be seeing more of an emphasis towards body positivity towards overweight women is that it seems like there really isn't any issue for overweight men to get famous. But there don't really seem to be many examples of famous overweight women. It would be controlling, but it's a bit of a stretch to call that a quote-unquote boundary.
Yeah, but you've just made up a hypothetical to dismiss what he said.
Now, I've just said that he's just made up a hypothetical. He says no and then talks about the hypothetical that he's just made up. You can't make it up.
No, I wasn't. I was making up a hypothetical because I was trying to see what his point was to begin with, because I couldn't really understand how he was saying that men are not allowed to set boundaries. In my view, a boundary is something like, hey, I don't like it when you joke about my mom. Please.
That's his boundary. That's the boundary he's got set in his mind. That's his example of a boundary. Unless when it comes to other men, what's his perception of a boundary when other men say?
Don't do that. And as far as I can tell, men and women are both able to do that equally. The example of men telling women that they're not allowed to hang out with their friends is something that I often hear men call a boundary, but is really just controlling behavior. And it was the only thing I could think of that this man might have been referring to when he was saying that men are not allowed to set boundaries.
It's the only thing he could think of. Between, don't say stuff like that about me, and you can't go out with your friends, they're the only two boundaries he could think of. Nothing in the middle. Absolutely. You can't tell me you couldn't think of anywhere in between. You can't tell me. The boundary of saying that I don't want you to go out with your friends, I completely agree with him. It's, I'd never do that. It's ridiculous. And guys who come onto the internet and say that sort of stuff, yeah, it's ridiculous. But they get shot down to shit. So, rightfully so. But he's just... Let's listen to that again, because...
Men telling women that they're not allowed to hang out with their friends is something that I often hear men call a boundary, but is really just controlling behavior. And it was the only thing I could think of that this man might have been referring to when he was saying that men are not allowed to set boundaries. But if that's not what he was talking about, and that's not what you're talking about, it would be helpful if I knew what this example was.
It would help if you didn't assume. Fellas that have gone through what the first guy was talking about, fellas who have experienced it, they know. Dudes like this, they're clueless. They haven't got an idea. So they jump to the worst possible conclusion. I think it's more of a case of, pander to the audience, if I'm honest, because everything I've seen from him so far is just complete, utter nonsense. Trying to dismiss the existence of double standards. What a stupid thing to be doing. And all he's doing is strawmanning his arguments, responding to shit that was never said by anyone, creating up fake scenarios, giving personal anecdotes. Literally, when I watched this video, I was losing brain cells. But he's like, neither of them explain what it is. Why would anyone do it when you're making shit up? Do you know what I mean? It's like the guy in the first video, anyone who knows what the guy's on about, they absolutely know. There are women out there that know what the guy in the first video was talking about. They've seen it themselves. And you're sat there going, I've never seen it, so it doesn't happen. Give over.
That women are allowed to do, but men are not.
Can't make a whole rebuttal video and end it with,
Watch him get
I was
angry.
genuinely unaware that this even existed.
That's not a rebuttal. That's me asking the people watching, like you, if this double standard exists, to please explain it to me.
Yes,
No, it wasn't. Right? No, it wasn't. It was you trying to dismiss him. And I made a 10-minute video telling you what the double standards were. And all it done was piss you off more.
anything you
Can't
told
make
me
it up.
is true. What, fella? Nah, I don't believe you.
Similarly, I'm going to need help understanding what this double standard is referring to when
can't
saying
be
that
this dense.
when women say something, we believe them, but when men say the same thing, we don't.
Believe all women? Hashtag, right? Do you know how many men don't get believed when they talk about the abuse that they're going through? Because very often, and I've seen so many cases of this, a woman well, I can't even talk. It drives me insane. A woman will put a guy through abuse. The guy is the victim, and then the woman will claim to be the victim, and then that's it. So not only has the guy been abused, he's then victimised for it. It's a fucking horrible double standard. So if you can't figure that out, you are so closed off to the world, way more than I've ever thought.
Like, I'm asking.
I am living proof that short kings can indeed succeed.
To dismiss it is pathetic just because you succeeded.
He's taking that well out of context.
Dude, this is not me. This is my dad. What?
Who cares? Okay, so in summary, I've never seen it, therefore it doesn't happen. He uses extremes to validate his point over shit that was never even said in the first place. He will put words into people's mouths. He's a spin doctor. Honest to God, my brain is fried listening to him. But I know he's got a history of doing this. So there was a few things in the video that I put in there purposefully, you know, a little bit of a dangling carrot. And I know he's got a history of making shit up and running with it. It's like when he made those comments about all women that are 5'1" don't go for. Never said that. I never said an entire gender. Never said an entire anything. But he's inserted that in. So now you've got his followers looking at his video going, oh, you're absolutely right. You've absolutely blown him out of the water. He's not actually debunked anything that I've said. It's a long video with fucking nothing in it. It's like arguing, it's like playing chess with a pigeon, right? And then watching them just climb up on the chessboard and strutting the stuff, knocking all over the pieces as if they've won. It's just. But loads of people are agreeing with it. And do you know what? To be fair, if that's the way you're going to position your videos, it's extremely disingenuous. It's falsifying a whole debate, which just tells me that he's not capable of actual true debate. And he's got a large following as well, so it's really irresponsible of him. I don't care, they can come and call me all the names under the sun, it doesn't make a difference to me. But as far as I'm concerned, as creators go on the app, this one is quite pathetic and should stick with linguistics. Because from the videos I've seen of that, he's quite good. The rest I've seen him talk about, the shit he spews out of his mouth, is just... it's basically spin doctrine. I wonder if he believes his own bullshit. Genuine question. Anyway, that's enough for this one. If you're still awake.